All right, welcome everybody to tonight's episode of Hot Chat Live. I'm Jim Erickson, standing in for Mistress Lori. In tonight's spotlight is the crew of Flatline Radio, headed up by Tristan Pierce. Welcome, guys.
What's up, everyone?
Hey.
Right. And now please welcome our host, Reverend Michael the Grave Digger.
How you doing? How you doing, everybody? Welcome. Thank you. I deserve it. So welcome to Hot Chat Live. This is season 1, episode 8. We've lasted. Some people said we wouldn't, but we're still here. We're still coming back. Like Jim said, Flatline Radio is in the spotlight tonight. Now, I don't know if you guys know about them. We got all kinds of links in the YouTube thing. The thing you're looking at right now. I got all their links down below. Make sure you check them out while we're doing this. But in the meantime, we're going to sit back, we're going to ask a few questions, and we're going to direct it towards Tristan and the crew, and you're going to learn all about them and kind of what goes in and what the hell Flatline Radio is about. So, with that said, Tristan, welcome to the show. Why don't you introduce your people here?
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
I said, introduce your people.
Oh, these guys. Okay, no. They're here too. Well, first off, I'll introduce you to Miss Tiki Terror here.
How you doing?
She's one of our on-air personalities and one of our content creators, and this is Miss Lady Hoocha. She's also on-air personality and content creator. And my name is Tristan, or Pierce, or Tristan Pierce, or just Pierce, whichever you want to call me.
Or bitch.
I'm the founder, host, whatever you want to call me, of Flatline Radio, and also is here beside me is Robert Rage.
Oh,
The Invisible Man.
In the flesh, Robert Rage.
Ethereal,
right here.
Ethereal friend.
I could be joining us back here in just a second, but I guess he ran over and grabbed some food. We're actually we're here at Arx Mortis Haunted House in Killen, Alabama, which is where we're based at. As you can see, this is our studio. We've got a whole little set up over there. We're hanging out here today, and we've also got a big get together with a few people from our haunted house over next door, just right next door where we are right now. So he'll come back, probably fall asleep, something like that.
Cool.
All right.
Well, good deal. Well, welcome here tonight, guys. Why don't you start out by giving us just kind of a little rundown on Flatline Radio? Where'd you come from? What are you doing? That kind of shit. Stuff.
Flatline Radio crawled up from the depths of hell and bit me right in the ass. But but in all honesty, we started back in it was our inaugural show was released on May 16th, 2012. That was one day before my birthday and 2 days after Rob's birthday. Because it was myself, it was Robert Rage, and it was Raghead, who is not here. He may show up later, but it was we that actually started it alongside some other former members of Rotting Flesh Radio. I actually used to be one of the on-air personalities of Rotting Flesh Radio. I was Pierce. I hosted Fresh Meat, a younger look at the haunted attraction industry, and I don't know if I'm sure you remember Rotting Flesh Radio, correct?
Oh yeah.
So my show life was really short-lived. As
wait. What are you trying to say? I'm old?
No, just try maybe.
All right, strike one.
But my show life there was very, very short-lived. Of course, I started right about that time when Rotting Flesh Radio really started falling off the face of the earth, for lack of a better word. And I fell in love with it. I love just sitting down and just talking to the general haunt community, just sharing my own views and my own ideas and all that good stuff. And I really didn't want to stop. So I tried getting on with another podcast, and unfortunately was just ultimately denied. And therefore, I say, well, I don't necessarily need to write off of anyone else. So I can just do my own thing. So we sat down and we started off with the Haunted Meltdown, and it was that was the first idea that we had. It was going to be all like red and yellow, just like Rotting Flesh Radio, but it was going to be like a rebirth of it, but just with the same colors. But ultimately, Rob came up with Flatline, and we came up with Flatline Radio, and very shortly thereafter, we had a little crappy looking logo, and
I like it. I like it.
well, I mean, this isn't the same one. We had a little one that was just something that I threw together with some stock photos and whatnot. But this logo here is actually created by our friend Chris Holcomb, who does all of he does all the artwork and all the videos and stuff here for Arx Mortis. But he actually designed this logo, and we absolutely love our logo now. But
so you're trying to say is your logo is just a bunch of Holcomb?
It's a bunch of Holcomb. That's,
Yep. A bunch of Holcomb.
that's all.
perfect.
Anything you see Arx Mortis, it's all a bunch of Holcomb. But just to give him a little bit of a shout out there, go and check him out because he does a lot of photography, a lot of graphic design work for specifically haunted houses because he's fantastic at it. And that's KHK Productions. Go and check him out.
You heard it first here.
Yes.
But yeah, as far as beginnings, I mean, we've had that was several years ago. Throughout the years, we picked it up and dropped it down and picked it up, and for a short time, for a while there, we just stopped. I moved to Nashville after I graduated high school, and then I started working for airlines, and I started airline management, and I moved to Nashville to work at the international airport, and hours were just insane. I didn't have any friends nearby, so it was hard for me to try and continue Flatline being that far away from everyone. But as time moved on, I ended up moving back home, coming back to Arx Mortis, and getting back with all of my friends. And after just the time, I just said, I miss it. I miss just talking to everyone. And so we decided, let's amp it back up. So we came back with some new sound equipment and a much more professional sounding broadcast. And then even then we still are sitting here back and saying that's just not enough. We're wanting to build up more and more and more. And so what we're trying to do actually is
don't get too ahead of yourself.
I'm not going to get that far ahead.
Okay, all right.
But we're trying to integrate more video and everything. So this is actually a perfect, start to all of it because, like I said, we're really trying to go more for video to capture as many people as we can, just to try to share the good word about the haunt industry.
So you're gonna have to change your logo to Flatline TV.
We may just drop the radio.
Supposed to be Flatline.
Radio has a nice
Flatline production.
But look who it is!
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Get your ass in here.
Hey. This is Robert Rage. He's one of the co-founders of Flatline Radio. And
pardon my absence. I'm so sorry.
I'm just glad to know he's still alive.
I am alive.
Did you eat?
I did. So now I've got I got a little food baby now.
We're starving ourselves.
Food baby.
Whenever they're eating.
So you got it's going now.
All right.
All right, so you got the thing going again, and so you've been doing the podcast again. You've been popping up at conventions all over the place.
That's right.
And you've been
trying to make ourselves more known. Now we're trying to, now that I'm at a point in my life, and I've got a great crew behind me that are in points of their lives that they can afford to all of us help each other out. I think it's a perfect time for us to try and band back and create something out of the ashes. Because, like I said, but whenever I moved to Nashville, I thought I would never pick up a microphone again. But here we are in the Flatline studio at Arx Mortis Haunted Attraction in Killen, Alabama.
Shameless plug.
you gotta get that out, and you managed to network and hook in with a bunch of other great people like the Haunted Attractions Network.
That is correct.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
We are all. We are brothers, siblings, whatever you want to call us.
Family.
And we are all family. Yes, we are proud members of the Haunted Attraction Network. Alongside you guys, and inside the haunt industry and Haunt Topic Radio, and just a ton of others. I mean, it's a great network to be a part of, and we're super happy to be a part of it because,
For sure.
like I said, part of the reason that we started was just because, kind of alienation. So, now that we're now that we've got a whole group of people that can come together and just for the betterment of the haunt industry to try and get everybody as accurate information as possible and as much information as possible. I think it's fantastic that we've got such this awesome group network of haunt podcast and media outlets to join on.
I wholly agree with you. It's a whole new world out there starting up right. Now you've come back, you got things going, but then you had a couple little setbacks, as I recall.
Setbacks out the way. Of course, we started kind of talking about the coming soon back, what was it?
Months ago?
Eight months ago.
And with the coming soon videos, and we had a lot of fun shooting them and putting them together. Well, unfortunately, there's this thing that we haunters like to call October. And that came in, and that knocked a lot of productivity off the table, especially considering I'm one of the actor coordinators, and then everyone else here are all actual actor managers. So, I mean, we're all
We also
up
do
to
set
our
design
ears
and everything
and
else.
set design in the
Set
off
design.
season and you name it. I mean, we pretty
Training,
much do it.
actor training.
You're looking at the boss's bitches.
Basically.
We are Benny's angels, if you will.
Yeah.
That's
But,
right.
I wouldn't use that term.
Well, I think I'm beautiful enough for it.
Right.
But unfortunately, thank you, baby. But unfortunately, we did hit haunt season, and that gave us a little bit of a setback. And then right after haunt season, you do have to sit back and take a break and just breathe, because I mean, you deal with haunts year round, and
You got the holidays, you got family time.
Wait a minute. What kind of hunters are you guys if you breathe?
No, I'm not. I've only taken half a breath now. But
All right.
but the big thing is I think that once we got into the haunt season, it really did just knock a lot of production off the table. We got really caught up with what all we were doing, and then afterwards we did just need to go back and take that break to get our heads back in line. And then of course we come back and we sit down and we get everything hooked up and we're ready and we're like, yes, we're gonna get recording, and then all of a sudden our haunted house catches on fire.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now here's a good one. Guess what caught on fire?
What caught on fire?
I'll give you two guesses. Come on.
The Wicked Witch.
No.
No. Okay. The Swamp Lake.
No. It was actually our swamp is outside. But it was actually our sprinkler system caught on fire. We were sitting. I will never forget it, because here's still about an hour away. We were eating. All of a sudden, we get this text message that the haunted house is on fire. We start freaking out, but then at the same time, we're also like, man, I don't know, insurance would be kind of nice. But
You know what we can do with all that?
But it was just the risers. It was the air compressor that was hooked into our sprinkler system. It just so much dust got caught up in it, and it caught on fire, and it luckily didn't do a whole lot of damage. It was caught really early, and I mean, we're not worried about opening or anything. But the worst part was that it took out a lot of the wiring, and somehow, despite the fact that the Flatline studio was located at the very, very back of the building, and the fire happened at the very, very, very front of the building and like to the right. I don't know how, but our breakers are on the same circuit.
Okay.
Thing got cut off.
So we don't really work off of laptops or anything. We've got two desktops in here, so we're kind of limited. So we kind of just got stuck in a shutdown. So, I mean, regardless, as you can see, we have light.
Yeah.
All the wiring's been fixed. Only thing is now we're just getting our riser fixed. But that hump in the road is luckily we're over it. It's over and done.
Awesome.
And now we can move forward. Like I said, we're back in the studio getting things ready for some upcoming new stuff.
Well, that's great. That's great. Now, one of the things that I notice about you guys that I really don't see a lot of is you're all look like little kids to me. You're young. You got some young blood coming in there. I don't see any of them old timers in there or anything like that. So that seems like maybe it might be kind of a fresh view.
Yeah, well, kind of like fresh meat. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
RF. That was essentially I kind of wanted to carry that premise on. I had back when Flatline started. We did have some older folks on. We had Jigsaw Jim, who still came on with his rancid reviews of Sinister Cinema. And we had Michael Bolton from the UK. He came on, and he would do shows with us. And Michael Freese out of North Carolina. We had a lot of older blood in there. As our format changed, we were talking to them. They had started, off on their own ventures, and so we kind of broke off and just wanted to kind of go a little bit younger. So I'm only 21. Tiki here, she's 21.
Still in college.
Is 22, and Rob is old.
27.
Oh my God! Kick him out of here. He's too old for you.
But that's just because
He's a young soul.
That's just a year ago. That's just a year ago. Tiki and I had to have somebody to go and buy us alcohol. So
That was not.
now
What are you talking about? I was a good, wholesome child.
I come from haunts.
No. Not
Well, that's cool. That's cool that we can get, because in the haunt industry, you've got kind of, I don't want to say both sides of it, but there's a lot of old timers out there that you can really learn stuff from. But again, they've been around for a long time, and they've seen this and they know exactly how to do it. And once in a while, getting that fresh view in there can think, new eyes, fresh set eyes coming in there. So that's kind of cool that you guys are hooked that up that way.
The big difference is that things do change over time. And a lot of times, I know I'm just as bad about it as anyone else. A lot of times, we do tend to get stuck in our ways. And to me, the haunted attraction industry is constantly evolving. If you go to Transworld every year, you see that each and every year things are getting bigger and better. I remember, it used to be it was kind of flat throughout the show floor. You could just kind of see the tops of the booths all the way across. But now when you walk in, these booths are larger than life.
It's almost like a small city.
Super size.
And then there's that 20-foot dragon. I want that dragon.
Yes, I want the dragon.
But as the industry is evolving, it is kind of a good thing for everybody to remember that, the target demographic for most haunters, a vast majority of haunters, I'd be willing to say all, we fall within that demographic. And, sometimes,
patrons.
Yeah.
Patrons.
And
we're in that demographic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whenever it comes down to, what the youth wants, that's one of the big things that we really wanted to, provide whenever we do our show, is to give that youthful look. So that way, maybe other haunters that maybe haven't looked at it from a viewpoint that we do, or, maybe they didn't know that the youth like certain things that we do. I don't know. But but hopefully just the big goal is to get everyone a little bit more acquainted with the new age that's coming up.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because that's how we grow, and that's how we stick with it, and that's how we bring them what they want. Right. Now, you were talking, Tristan. You were saying how you were in the airline industry and all that, but I believe you currently have a job that is really kind of fitting with what you're doing, don't you?
Oh gosh, fitting. I don't know. It's a little grotesque. It's really it's not that bad, in all honesty. I'm actually my technical title is a funeral assistant. I work at a funeral home. I go in the morgue and I help with the autopsies, and I go and pick up the dead bodies and put them in the caskets and drive the hearse. That's my favorite part. I like driving the hearse. But that's it's an interesting job. I will say that. My very first job was in a hospital in housekeeping, and I had to clean up all the offices and things, but on second floor. But on the second floor was also the autopsy room, and where they did the dissections. And that's where I found out that I'm allergic to formaldehyde. So I'm not very well in my industry at all.
Yeah, you can't embalm me, or it could kill me. So
I can't embalm you if you kill me.
It just might kill me. So you got to keep away from that. Okay, so in doing my due diligence, looking up on you guys, I found a whole bunch of stuff. Well, no, a few things from like 5 years ago.
Oh, God.
And I found some videos that said coming soon.
Yes.
And I found a website that says the new website is coming soon. Here's some links to our podcast from 5 years ago.
Flatline Radio. Coming soon.
So now I know for a fact, because I've seen you at several different haunt conventions, like the MHC and the Haunt Con and things like that. And I've seen you broadcasting. So when you're doing that, are you actually broadcasting live? Are you creating a podcast? How do you decide what you're going to do?
Well, see, the last time that you saw us, you actually saw us in Midwest.
Right.
You saw me mostly naked. Woo! But before that, you probably saw us at HauntCon in Nashville.
Correct. Yep.
We were there vending. We're actually HauntCon was the very first haunted house convention that Flatline was ever at. So we've always had that very special, bond with HauntCon. We were very upset that we couldn't come down whenever they were in Birmingham, in our home state. That's when I was in Nashville, and then I moved back down here to Alabama, and then that next year they were in Nashville. So,
they're running from you, man. They're running from you.
I know. I thought that Leonard liked me, but I guess not. But regardless, HauntCon, we've always been kind of synonymous with them, and we did our first live broadcast from there. We did a Facebook live broadcast this last January, and that was actually live on Facebook, 100%. And that's what we're trying to take some of our actual podcasting. And we're wanting to try and turn that a little bit more live, a little bit more interactive for everyone. So the podcast itself, that's just the podcast. That will be, hopefully we'll be able to do that live. Here's a big setback of ours, in all honesty, is I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we're in Alabama. And we're so far. Actually, I say we're so far back. The haunted house is right on the side of a highway across from a high school where I actually graduated. But we don't really have that great of internet out here. So we kind of run into that issue with the live feeds and everything. We're continuously trying to work with it, and I've heard rumor that they're amping up speeds. Hopefully that'll be able to be more of a reality. But until then, it will probably be mostly recorded shows. But like I said, again, we're really trying our damnedest to get to that live point. We want to do what you do.
You want to do what I do?
Like you, Reverend.
Oh, awesome. I got some prodigies. Well, just come on down for a little bit. We'll walk around and we'll talk. That's great. I love that because, I'm kind of new at this stuff of what I'm doing. I mean, I've been freaking the crap out of people for years, but putting together these shows and things like that, it's just fun. Like you said, I like talking to people. I like learn about it. And the whole reason this was put together, of course, I don't interview haunted attractions. I interview the people who interview the haunted attractions because they get kind of left behind. Nobody really gets to know them and what goes into the show and how much work can go into one of these shows.
All right.
Well, at least in your case. In my case, I just say, hey, guys, you're on the show this time, and then I sign on and we go. This is no work. I'm lazy as... Yeah. But...
it's nice that you bring that up because it really is. It's a lot of hard work that goes into it because we're not... in all honesty, this is probably the simplest setup that we've had in a long time of anything. Because the way that we record is we typically have like a DSLR camera sitting back looking at us. And then we each have our own microphone that's all hooked into its own audio, actual like audio mixer. And then that mixer goes into the computer. So we record it all like it's an actual podcast, yet video at the same time, have to mix everything up and make sure that everything's all matched up. And, there's a lot to it. And we all do it because we love it. That's part of the reason why, we stopped doing it for so long. Not because we didn't love it. Don't get me wrong. It's just
we wanted to do it right.
We wanted to make sure we did it right. Yeah, exactly.
I get where you're coming from. I used to run a recording studio. So that was back in the 80s. Back before digital. Before it all got easy with digital stuff, You kids, back when I was a kid. Yeah.
2-inch tape.
Before we were born.
Yeah, before you were even a glimmer in your daddy's eyeball. That's right. Okay, so you mentioned it earlier. Coming soon.
coming soon. Robert Rage. I'm here.
Go.
No, actually, we're really excited about this, just simply because looking at the past and how we've always done things, we've never really kind of thought to put in a break. We've always just kind of looked at it and just said, let's just go and just do it. Every week, every 2 weeks, every month, light blue, however it's going to be. We always had just a straight up, this is what it's going to be from here on. Well, unfortunately, I'm a haunted house nut. I'm the one that can't take a breather from it. I'm the one that can sit here and live, literally. I'm going to sit here
I don't
and live
know
at this
how
haunted
much
house
more I can nod to this.
just so happy.
God.
But it's taken a few people to make me realize this, but not everyone has that same absolute just, I want to do this 24/7.
What?
I know, that's what I'm saying, but
What?
I love doing it 24/7, but it's
we got to take a month too long.
You gotta
you
take a
gotta
break.
look at the. There's more to life as well.
Kids today. Kids
I know.
today.
Not
And so,
necessarily saying go out of the entertainment industry, but just breathe.
Go out, hit a couple strip clubs, do
Yeah.
whatever. Just take a breather once in a while.
Exactly.
So what we're wanting to do to try and kind of capture the way that we feel, because oh my gosh, I'll be honest, we open for Valentine's Day just like a lot of other haunted houses do. So that's technically when our season starts. But even then, we still do, like, I've torn out half of our mine shaft right now. And that's going to be done by February. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes on top of all this. But essentially, what we're wanting to do is try and keep everybody informed when they're really wanting to be informed. It seems to me that a lot of the haunted house stuff dies off November, December. And to me, August, September, October, those months, a lot of people, they're all super stoked up about haunted houses, but they're all so wrapped up in their own haunted house and their own thing that it's just really hard to try and keep up with what all is going on. So to answer that, our big announcement is that we're actually going to start seasons, just like you do. And our seasons will range, our season it will start at HauntCon in New Orleans this year, and it will end at Midwest Haunters Convention in Columbus
Which, for
City.
those who don't know, that's in January.
Yes. In January.
It'll be cold and all.
It will be cold, so we're less than a month away. That's when we're going to start up our shows. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to do a podcast every week. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to do a podcast every 2 weeks. But we're going to be, on top of doing podcasts, we're going to be doing how-tos. I'm a scenic designer, so I can do the how-tos of building, I can do the how-tos of wiring, I can do the how-tos of carving, all that good stuff. So, and each of us, we all have our own separate talents that I think that each of us can capitalize on and create not only just these shows that keep people informed, but also give them little videos and stuff, little snippets. So it's not all going to be the same thing. So that is the big announcement, is that we're not just doing a show anymore. We're going to branch off, and we're going to start doing makeup. We're talking to a few makeup artists. I'm a makeup artist, but I'm not a good one. That's the difference. But we're talking to a few makeup artists. We've got builders, we've got craftsmen that are wanting to come on and help us and share some knowledge to the general haunt industry. So
awesome. Well, I gotta tell you, we're down to our last minute or two of the show, so I give you a warning. I always do a little snippet question at the end of it. Right. So my question, I gotta read it down here so I get it right. Okay, if you could choose one of two brands to clean up a crime scene, would it be Swifter or Dirt Devil? Go.
I say funny. Swifter because you say it like my grandmother does.
Again, okay, that's strike two.
Out of everything. She gets stains out of stains. She don't give a damn. She can look at it. That stain just runs off.
No offense.
All offense taken. Don't worry about it. So besides, I know your grandmother, and rightfully so. They run away. Yes, yes. So, all right, guys. I want to thank you so much for being on episode 8, season 1 of Hot Chat Live.
Blast.
Oh, you bet. Flatline Radio, like I told you guys, and for everybody watching, there's links down below in the YouTube, on the YouTube event for this. Yeah, down below. Go click on those. Check them out. Some of them are really old. Some of them are really new, but they're all there. Well, yeah, I told you.
Coming soon.
Check your old website. Yeah, yeah. Guys.
We call it classic.
Classic. Vintage like me. Right.
Yeah.
Vintage. There you go.
It's a lot better to us now, too, when we go back and listen to them, because I sound like a freaking idiot. I sound like
How do you think?
All right, kids. Don't make me turn this car around. Okay. Thank you guys for being on. For those of you watching, I'll be posting the link directly to this Hunters Hangout thing. To this Google Hangout thing. Oh, I did a bad thing. Anyway, yeah. But come on in. I'll be posting it out there. Come on in. You can talk to these guys directly. And with all of that, we'll see you next month when our guest will be Scare Track, straight from the UK. See you in the funny pages. It's been a blast.